All right. I'm John Freitag. I'm with All American Hospice. I'm here with Bryan Adler. He's an elder care attorney over at Rothkoff Law. And Bryan's going to talk to us a little bit about elder law and some changes that are happening with COVID-19. But let's start off, Bryan. What drew you into elder law?
That's well, first off, John, thanks for having me. This is cool. This is a nice way to interact with people for a little bit in
Nice.
otherwise trying times. It's funny you should say that because I can plug something that Rothkopf is doing in the coming weeks while also telling you my backstory. When I first moved to Philadelphia, I was a personal trainer, and I loved it. I loved working with families. I loved working with kids. I loved working with really anyone. It was a great way to be around people. And I thought I was going to do it for the rest of my life. I was like, this is my career. This is great. I love this. But I remember I went to the gym one morning and it was like 5 a.m. And there was this grizzled old guy. I'm not going to say his name because just look it out there. This grizzled old trainer. And he was probably 55 or 60 at the time. He's got to be 70 by now, if not older. And he was like bleary eyed and he's up. He's got his giant coffee and his clients start rolling in. And I was like, well, hell, I don't know if I can do this when I'm 40, let alone 60. I mean, we were doing 12-hour days. So I talked to my dad and I was like, I'm going to go to law school. It'll give me 3 years to at least figure out what to do with my life.
Right.
I got to law school. I was like, I'm going to do entertainment law. I'm going to go be the next Ari Gold.
Right.
And I did a summer internship in entertainment law, and it was terrible. It was just contracts. It was super boring. So I kind of fell into estate planning with a firm in Center City during a co-op. I loved the connection with people. I loved being able to talk to them and work with them. We do their documents and they're gone. And that's the end of it. You might see them again if there's a change. So I had a client ask a question about Medicaid. I opened a little estate planning practice out of my spare bedroom out of law school. And one of my clients said, my mom is in a nursing home. Are they going to take the house? And I was like, seems probable, but I don't know. I'll get the answer for you. So I got the answer and I kind of discovered what Medicaid planning was. And I met a guy who was looking for an associate. So I joined his practice. It was a great way to cut my teeth in elder law. But the problem was it was still transactional. You did the job and then moved on. When I met Jerry almost 8 years ago now, I said, look, I'm trying to start my own practice. I want more of a relationship-based approach, which is what he was doing at the time and still is. And I said, mentor me. He said, no. And I said, thanks for the courtesy. Right. And his recommendation was join us instead. So I did. I wanted to work with people on an ongoing basis, create these relationships instead of just dealing with it during crisis. I wanted to solve the crisis and then beat her when the next one came about. Right. So 7 years later, here we are.
So you can be a little more proactive, not just showing up when there's a problem.
That's right. Help to prevent it.
No, that's great. It's funny how...
I mean it. This sounds so cliche, and I acknowledge that. There's just no other way to say it. There is nothing else I would rather be doing. I'm really fortunate that I get to spend my days with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny how it turns out, though. Started personal training, ended up doing this. I started in criminal justice was my college major.
I remember you telling me that.
So, you never know where you're going to end up. So that's so cool. So what's your typical caseload with elder law? Is it more estate planning? Is it more Medicaid applications?
So the bulk is we work with clients in kind of 4 buckets. We have that basic estate planning, which is someone like yourself, healthy younger guy, family, just want to make sure your kids are set up, the simple stuff. And the opposite end of the spectrum is that crisis planning, where it's my loved one is in the hospital, she needs care tomorrow. What do we do? And then we work with people in the middle, baby boomers who watched a loved one impoverish themselves in a nursing home saying, protect me now from the possibility of this tomorrow. And then we have what we call pre-crisis, which is people that are, early stage dementia or Alzheimer's, a recent Parkinson's diagnosis or multiple sclerosis. And they want to say, okay, we know that better care planning results in better outcomes. What do we do? How do we get that better outcome? How do we protect ourselves financially? So it's kind of in 4 buckets, with the most of it falling in pre-crisis and crisis planning. Mm-hmm. Because as well as I do, you call the fire department when you see smoke, when you see a flame. You're not calling them every year to check the batteries like you should.
Right. And it's important to do all this stuff preventatively. So powers of attorney, you guys do POAs.
Tons. That's you've heard me say this before. I think I've said it to you. We had a beer over at Toscana. It was probably a year ago now. And boy, do I long for the time that we could go out and have a beer.
Yeah. We could have brought some.
I got something back here. it's 3 in the afternoon. We're good.
Yeah, well,
we do tons of powers of attorney. I mean, that's the most critical legal document, in my opinion. Other attorneys might argue that, but without a power of attorney, you have no one to help you make decisions. You got no one to help you manage your affairs, and there's no other way to do it without the court intervening. So we do tons of those. And you had mentioned earlier that you're hearing there's a big uptick in families looking for this kind of that kind of planning.
Yep.
Now's the time. It's people are worried. People are out there. They're terrified. They don't know how to talk to their loved ones. They don't know how to navigate the complexity of the healthcare system. They're thinking this is going to happen to me. I might catch. Well, it's not COVID. You might catch something else. Some other disease might befall you.
Right. So maybe people are just more in tune with their mortality with everything that's on the news. You guys have care coordinators that help walk them through everything, right?
We do. So that's a unique component of our practice. We have 6 geriatric social workers that we call elder care coordinators. To look at elder law as strictly legal and financial is a mistake, because you look at it, if you have 3 legs to it, the best care in the world is useless if you have no way to pay for it. Mm-hmm. All the money in the world is worthless if you have crappy care. And if you don't have the legal protections to access the funds and advocate for the best care, all those go away as well. The care and the money go away too. So to look at it and say, well, we don't need a care coordinator, we don't need someone to help navigate this, you've only got a 2-legged stool. So our care coordinators are the ones that really say to our families, here's what the care recommendations are today, tomorrow, into the future, and then I can base my planning off of that. I don't know how you can plan for somebody that says, I might need care, I don't really know. Right. Oh, well, hope figure it out.
Sure, yeah. So you're able to set them up, protect their assets by helping them plan. You're able to set up care coordination so they walks them through the whole thing and put all the documents and everything in place so it's there when they need it.
Yeah, 10 words. Get the best care, figure out how to pay for it without going broke.
Right, yeah, and that's the hard part. So I've seen power of attorneys and how important they are firsthand, just in the social work aspect and now at hospice, because we've had, unfortunately, people who don't have power of attorneys, and then no one's there to make the decision for them.
So what do you do in that situation?
So in the nursing home situation, we would have to go through guardianship. In the hospice situation, it doesn't happen all that often because we're not able to take people on. So if they're not able to sign documents for themselves because they have dementia or something, they don't have a power of attorney, they don't have a guardian, unfortunately, they just can't get the service because legally we're not allowed to sign them on.
And John, that's criminal. I mean, there is no reality that exists where someone who qualifies for hospice doesn't have a better outcome. It only makes their life better. And for someone to not be able to sign on to service because of a lack of 10 pieces of paper, that's criminal. I mean, that's upsetting to hear.
Yeah, and I know that you guys are very proactive working with facilities on trying to get all this stuff done. So you guys work with the nursing homes and do CEU courses, right? So you guys are explaining everything that you guys do. Could you tell me a little bit about the CEUs and how you guys are doing them now?
So most of our professional partners, they know we do CEU seminars complimentary in our office, at restaurants around town, and with a lot of our professional partners, assisted living facilities, nursing homes, independent communities. It's our way of giving back at least a little bit. Because these social workers, CALAs, nursing home administrators, case managers, they do so much to support us and our families. This is the way we can say, look, come have dinner, breakfast, get a couple of credits, and hang out for a little bit. And we do all kinds of topics. We do some that are the law, like the new community health choices. We spend 2 hours, 2 agonizingly long hours going through the nitty gritty of the law. But then we do fun ones that I think are more topically appropriate, like race, religion, and sexuality in long-term care. We have a lot of fun with that. We talk a lot about what's going on with seniors and, not just sexual orientation, but sexual activity, how people's religious preferences affect things. And we have a ton of fun doing those. Fortunately, we have a relationship with GoToWebinar that we're doing everything online now. We did a couple last week. We got about 50, 60 people attended. Not ideal. I prefer to be face-to-face. My jokes are not nearly as funny. when I can't hear the fake and forced laughter. But regardless, we did it nonetheless.
That's awesome because urine services, they are really informative and they're entertaining. I've been to a handful of them and I don't even need CEUs. I just like, showing up for the free breakfast.
We had fun
So,
I would say we had fun at breakfast.
yeah.
Was that last month?
Yeah, it wasn't that long
Yeah,
ago.
it was a good
Yeah,
time.
and that was what was the topic we were talking about? It was care coordination, the new things in
The
Philadelphia with
new
the
community health choices.
community health.
Actually, that's right. You sat, and it's not that it's a bad topic. It's a very important topic. It's just when you're talking about a new law and how it implements itself, you're just kind of like, oh, okay. It's not as fun as you can't have as much of a discussion.
Right. But it's so important to stay informed because then
Yeah,
we're able to work with families and you need to be on top of this stuff because it's ever changing.
that's right.
Yeah. So is there any good resources or anything for like a layperson to look at to try to stay informed?
Tons. So depending on what you're looking to stay informed with, let's touch on the world as it once was and the world as it is today.
Okay.
So the world as it once was, you can always reach out to me as a resource. We publish senior guides, veterans benefits guides. We have a lot of information on our website. We try to provide as much complimentary content as possible. So you guys can rely on us there, and email me. I have a lot of professionals that have questions that I email back, and we email back and forth. I rely on them with, I've contacted you with questions on hospice, and you've contacted me with questions on Medicare and Medicaid. So you start with us. You can always look at the National Elder Law Foundation website, NELF.org, the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, NAELA.org. And also, we are members of the Life Care Planning Law Firms Association. It's a professional association for firms that practice like we do. And you can visit their website at lcplfa.org. Great resources there. Now, the COVID crisis, I'm not an expert at all by any means on anything COVID-y.
Well, we're all figuring it out. So
But we are all figuring it out. I spent a lot of time at the Kaiser Health Foundation, the WHO website, the CDC website, and the Centers for Medicare Advocacy. The laws as they pertain to powers of attorney and wills, those aren't really changing in this environment. It's more difficult to probate a will because a lot of things are closed. So we're helping our families navigate that. It's more difficult to have things signed because we have to navigate creative ways to sign documents. But the biggest issue that we're seeing is families trying to talk to their loved ones, families trying to get care. We have a client stuck in a hospital. We have a client that is in short-term rehab that needs to be discharged home. We're trying to facilitate that without being able to go into the community, all because of this crisis.
Kathleen McGee, she referred a client and she was able to set everything up at a facility we were working at to get the wife in there to meet with the husband when he passed away.
That's exactly what we're doing. That's where we're spending most of our time now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's amazing that you guys have that in place because not just any lawyer would have all those care coordinators and have all the all that available to them.
And we just, we want to help our motto at the moment is let's say yes to everything we can. If a client has like, for example, I'm working with a woman who is here by herself. Her children live in another state. They come up every weekend. I said, look, she might need something. Call the office. We will figure out how to get it there. It's not something we would normally provide, but I think that we kind of have there's a higher obligation now as a community partner like we are.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Bryan. Is there anything else that we didn't go over? I mean, I feel like it's a lot.
We did. I mean, this is great. I said this to you before we started. I am just really impressed with you putting all this together, the virtual networking, your participation. I love the fact that we get to work together. And I really look forward to a beer in the near future. And also, we are doing complimentary estate planning reviews over Zoom or telephone. Normally, there'd be a consultation fee for that. But if somebody's interested in that basic planning, wills, powers of attorney, we're waiving those consult fees during this crisis because we know people really want to get that started. And they might be in a difficult financial situation.
So how could someone find out more and how could they reach you to go over all that?
They can call us at the office, 215-546-5800. They can visit our website at rothkofflaw.com. That's ROTHKOFFLAW.com. Or email me, BRYAN@rothkofflaw.com. And email me if you have any questions or to say hi or to schedule a Zoom networking, whatever it is. I'm around.
All right. That's awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brian. Hold on one